In this last lecture of this section, let's now add some so-called row-level security policies so that we can access our data from everywhere. So, to do that, please come here to the authentication section and then here on policies. All right, and then here, just click on new policy. Now, it might be that in the future, this entire dashboard here, so the interface has changed. And so you need to then go ahead and try to find this somehow. But what matters is that you find somewhere in the interface a policy and a way to add new policies. So then here we choose the option to get started quickly. So basically by choosing from a template. And then what we want to do is to enable read access to everyone. So we use this template and then basically we don't need to do anything, at least for this one. So here we could create a name for the policy. Here we select the operation, which in this case is for the selecting, so which means basically reading data. And yeah, that's it. Here we need to return true and then save the policy. Okay, so that was the first one. So this allows everyone who has that API key that I mentioned to basically read the data. So what this means is that when we go back to VS Code and to what we did here before, we should now able to send the request and then receive back the data. So just like any API should work. So in order to make this work, go ahead and copy this here and then paste it right here in the next prompt. Or you can also just use the up key. So that will then pull up the latest command that you typed. Okay, but anyway, just make sure that here it is just /facts, then hit enter, and here we go. So here we have this weirdly formatted, this array. So before, remember, it was empty, but now it starts here with this bracket, and then we have all the data here. So that's the fact that we just inputted. It contains the ID that was automatically created, contains the creation date, and yeah, all of the stuff. So all the facts that we just inputted, we now received from our API, which is really amazing. So all this data we are now able to get from our API, which is really, really amazing that we were able to do that so fast. But anyway, we actually need to create 2 more policies because as we develop our application, we will also want the ability for users to upload data and also to modify it so that they can vote on the different facts. Now, usually in a real world application, we would only enable editing and adding data for users that are actually authenticated. So we could create all kinds of different policies and complex policies like that, or only to allow logged in users, so authenticated users, to update and add data, but everyone to read data. So all kinds of scenarios like that are possible with Supabase. But here we are just keeping it very simple and we will simply allow everyone to edit and to add new facts. So let's again come here to get started quickly. And again, this first one here, read access to everyone. And now we will change it from select to insert. All right, then just to avoid some confusion here, let's change from read to insert. And then here, let's write true again. So it doesn't matter why we need to do that. It's just necessary. Then let's save the policy. And just one more. So again, choosing from a template, enable read. And here we now change it to update. What we will not do is enable deleting for anyone. So that's not going to be permitted. So here, update. But even what we're doing here, again, is not usual and it can be a little bit dangerous also. But yeah, this is just a very small project, just a demo project, just so you have some fun building a full stack application, right? Here, I'm not sure if we need to write true, but it cannot hurt. So let's just do that. Review and save policy. And so with this, we are all set up to start building the project in the next few sections. Because now the big question is, how do we actually get this data into our application? So what we did right here in the previous lecture was simply to request the data here using this curl. So this curl command here, but the data is not being saved anywhere and it's not in the application at all. So we don't have this data now in our app. In order to do that, we actually need JavaScript. So with JavaScript, we will be able to request data from a server and, as I mentioned before, to add all kinds of dynamic effects to the application. So to actually have the application do something and not just display something. So here we have this beautiful interface, of course, but well, nothing happens. You can click here all you want, but nothing will happen. And this data here was completely static. We simply pasted it into our HTML. But what we will start doing in the next section is to actually load that data from the server and then change the HTML based on that data and basically insert a new list item here for each of the facts that we put into our database. So that sounds really exciting, hopefully. I know that, at least for me, this was like the coolest part of all when I started doing web development. So I'm excited to show it to you how it works. So maybe we move on to the next section now. Maybe you do it some other day when you have time. But hopefully I see you very soon in our next section about JavaScript.